Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo streaming live once again for you. I guess this is TLDR, the LockerGnome Daily Report. Remember that? Way back when? It was largely supported by a greater chunk of the community. Not that I expect that chunk is watching right now. It's been a while since I saw Goonies. You know, they need to do a better job with the broadcasting tool so that it's not so awkward at the beginning as I'm fiddling around with the computer waiting for the live stream to start. But I also have to remember to, zoom in on the chat so I can see what y'all are saying when you start saying it. Ask me anything. That's what this hour is for. If there's anything in particular you want to talk about. I am actually waiting right now for something to happen, not just on your end, but later today, as you will discover in today's video, which I've yet to record outright for the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel. This is the LockerGnome YouTube channel. I'm doing my best to divide the two. One for the live stuff and the other one for the not-so-live stuff primarily. I have an appointment with Apple later today, specifically in relation to this problem. Let's see if I can get it to angle perfectly. Do you see that smudge up there in the corner? Ignore the more than 4 lights. Oh, 4 or more lights! I don't even know how many LEDs are in that bank. Someone out there, I'm sure, could tell me. Do you see this smudge up here? This smudge is smudge from my fingers or nose, oil. What seems to have happened is that my iPhone 8 Plus shipped from the factory without proper oleophobic coating. So this corner effectively is retaining fingerprints unlike the rest of the screen. And that is something that I would care to get replaced. So I'm going to do just that. So today's video title in the Chris Pirillo channel is likely going to be, I returned my iPhone 8 Plus, ... But, possibly. I don't know if I'm going to put the but in there. No ifs, ands, or buts. But that is the video I'm going to record likely remotely later today as I'm out and about. And I may even use that little shot as the thumbnail to be able to demonstrate or point at the part of the screen that I'm trying to basically get addressed. And the way to address it is to return it wholesale. So I'll be talking about that experience later today. Freaking everybody out, being accused of clickbait. But you know what? If it gets people to watch and look and listen, I'm not going to complain. I don't think anybody else is going to complain either. By the way, thank you for all the super chats yesterday. It was amazing. You press the little button, you super chat. I see your comment jump out above the rest. Make sure you turn on notifications for this channel, the other channel, so you're aware when I'm going live. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the questions, which are here. Salotson is Wise asks the first question, are you going to watch the Inhumans TV show? I've heard so many bad things about it. I'm going to try. I'm a Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fanatic and hope they never drop that. But I've heard some bad things about Inhumans to the point where I don't think it's going to be renewed. So I'm not sure about it. It took me a few episodes to get into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., though. So it may take me a few episodes to get into Inhumans as well. We'll see. I'm not as discerning as I think a lot of Marvel fans are. Even Star Wars stuff, when it, is not exactly what I may, enjoy as much as another Star Wars something, I still enjoy it because it's Star Wars. I don't know if I could say the same about Marvel's stuff. There's so much good content that I got to catch up on. I'm not sure if Inhumans is necessarily going to bubble up to the top. I'll kind of wait to see what my my crowd says, the people that I follow primarily on Twitter for a lot of that stuff, my tastemakers, and then decide whether or not I want to jump directly into it. Pez Liz asks, why does Apple play podcasts automatically when I plug my headphones into my iPhone? This is apparently a problem that plagues not just you, but everybody. In fact, some have said I need to turn these live broadcasts or some of the things that I talk about in the other channel into a podcast of sorts. I suppose that's possible. I don't know exactly, how I should pull that off to work out to everybody's benefit. I don't know. Is there a way to do that specifically on Patreon? I know you can upload audio files on Patreon because we've got that Patreon campaign. Maybe I'll push it there. Everybody else can get it on YouTube. Is that a good way of doing it? I don't know. I don't want to do too much, honestly, because the last thing I want to do is overwhelm anybody. Another reason why I've thought about continuing to do a live TLDR every weekday as an AMA. Jonky2 asks, did you see the new Pixel leaks? I did, and I'll give you my feeling on that in just a moment, but I just want to make sure that I explained the podcast situation fully to Liz, because I didn't exactly gloss over it. I don't have a solution, because it's a problem that people run into. I think it's a feature by design. It's how Apple's decided to make things convenient. It's the same reason why every time I get into the car, one of the songs, I think it's the same song from the Alpocalypse album that I bought years ago on iTunes, always plays instantaneously. It always jumps right to that track. Crazy. It always happens that way. And apparently I'm not the only one with that bug, but Apple doesn't see it as a bug. It's a feature. So good luck getting that fixed. I'd say, delete the podcast app and use something like, what is it? Overcast? Is that the name of it? What's the one that Marco Arment does? I want to say it's called Overcast. Anchor, if I were to do a podcast, I guess I'd probably maybe even think about doing it on Anchor. I wouldn't necessarily have the live interactivity as much as I do on YouTube, but maybe I should look into Anchor as a way to do something like that with call-ins, the podcast. Have you heard of Anchor? It's a free app I know it's on Android and iOS, so you could try that. So Jonky too. You ask about the new Pixel leaks. I don't I don't want to speculate too deeply, because you got to be careful about leaks and rumors, and you don't know what's true and what's truthy. I think I'm going to fall in line with what Stephen Hall was saying, and if you don't follow Stephen on Twitter, you should. He writes for the 9 to 5 sites, and he was saying that it's basically the Pixel XL2 as it's been rumored. So if you look at the screenshot that was taken and leaked, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up, unfortunately, because I wasn't prepared for this question. But if you take a look at, if I can tap the right bar, 9 to 5, not 9 to 5 Mac, 9 to 5 Google, you'll see that it says Ultra Pixel, I think is what it was alleged to say. This zoom in. Yeah, Ultra Pixel. And so Ultra Pixel, if I can crop, can I just zoom in on, can I, please, iOS, stop it. There we go. It says, oh, and I apologize because it may not, work out well with the white balance and the brightness here, but it says Ultra Pixel phone by Google. But look at the way that Pixel is lowercase. And I noticed this, and I'm not the only one to notice this. I think what they're saying is that it's not called an Ultra Pixel. They're saying potentially that the Pixel 2 XL is the Ultra Pixel, because they can't call it Ultra and then capitalize Pixel, because that's a brand, but they're not calling it, the phone, Ultra Pixel. Does that make sense? Like my full name, Chris Pirillo. Both letters are both words are capitalized. Both my names are capitalized. It's a proper noun. That Ultra Pixel with the lowercase p is indicating that it's Ultra Pixel. So not. It's an interesting word. If it's legit, if that's legit, that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen what the front of the new Pixel will look like. We know what the back's going to look like. We'll see. There's speculation that they're going to get rid of the software buttons, which I'm all for. I like the gestures, quite honestly, in iOS. It would be a very difficult thing for me to have to move between iOS and Android, because I really like swiping to go back. It's a little odd to use a back button. I like swiping to go back. It's more convenient. You could do it from everywhere. So if Pixel picks up on that interactivity, as a new rumor suggests it might, new gestures, I'm in. I'm all for it. Make it intuitive. Let's move that ball forward. I'm very much looking forward to the announcement. I will be doing a live stream of that in probably the Chris Pirillo channel. The live stream I'm guessing is going to be a long one, and then I think also happening next week, LG has announced their V30 launch right around the time that the Pixel's launching. So I'm not sure how much weight the Google announcements are going to have, because it seems that Google just doesn't get a lot of attention with consumer electronics, outright, and then certainly to be dwarfed by a phone that is definitely getting a good degree of buzz, the LG V30. It's going to be a difficult week for Google. I can't believe I'm saying that. And then Google's the juggernaut, so you just never know how that's going to play out. But I'm interested. I think I'm a software purist. I know that different phones have different software and features and implementation and hardware, but I'm a software purist. I'm not going to apologize for that. I know everybody wants something different in a device, but I'm a software purist. I don't want any extraneous stuff. I just want it straightforward, And I know that there are great values to different devices, but it's part of the thing that's got me interested in the Pixel outright. It's just being a software purist, knowing I don't have to deal with overlays if I don't have to, or third-party stuff for core device interactivity and design. So we shall see. Filberto Nunez asks, have you watched Stranger Things? I have. It wasn't very strange. No, it was. I enjoyed it greatly. I was fascinated by it. Certainly binged, intensely. And I can't say that about a lot of shows that I've watched. I'll get into them and then kind of drop them a few episodes in, and then I'll get back to it when I can. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I'm very much looking forward to the next season and see what happens. Taking it up a notch. I enjoy that kind of programming. I'm not much into horror outright. I mean, the sci-fi I like, the fantasy stuff I like. Horror is right on the the far end of the entertainment spectrum for me in terms of what I might enjoy. But the Stranger Things kind of it played well. It hit my nostalgic bone. If I have one somewhere, I don't know where it's at. But being a child of the '80s, it was certainly it was almost a little over the top, right? I would have appreciated a little less in your faceness. Of course, my favorite part of Stranger Things was the Millennium Falcon. Spoiler alert: the Millennium Falcon shows. If you haven't seen Stranger Things yet, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. I shouldn't even have said spoiler alert. Maybe I said it in a sarcastic way. Ryan asks, "Are you going to review the Samsung Note 8?" Sure, if I get one. See, here's the thing. Many people don't realize that getting a hold of devices is not easy. Now, you might be able to afford it, outright, is a part of your battle plan. Some people have. Who was it? This name kept popping up over and over again this past week. Flossie Carter. And I watched one of his videos. I'm like, this guy's good. I really like his style. Like, it's good. And apparently he buys the phones outright, which is a smart way of doing it. I prefer to find a way to offset those costs up front if I can on an ongoing basis, and it's just unless I have that right plan and the right cycle, it's an uphill battle. So I hope to look at the Note 8. I also hope to look at the Essential. I hope to look at the V30. I hope to look at the Pixel. I hope to look at you name the device. But I can't buy all the things. I'm not in that position yet. But, keep sending super chats, become a patron, watch ads, use YouTube Red on the videos, and, I'll get there with more people and more attention. But I am working on it. I am working on it. But rest assured, if I do get a hold of any other device, I'll do the comparisons, I'll do the review, I'll do the unboxing, I'll do the initial impressions, be able to talk to it, in terms of the way that you might expect. But understand that when I'm talking about devices, I don't care about necessarily what it looks like or what it feels like outright. I care about how it runs. And, if I have, something that separates me from the pack is just telling you, hey, the software was done well, wasn't done well, this is awkward, that's awkward, this is good, that's, not so good. I'm looking for a good software experience in general. Whether it's with a third-party overlay, a third-party launcher, if you will, on Android. I've been a Nova launcher user for years, though I'm not a diehard Android guy any more than I am a diehard iOS guy. But iOS is just driving me mad. I'm ready to just some would say, oh, you should return it and just get your money back. But I just feel, I keep saying this because it keeps coming up in comments. I'm like, I just feel I would lose objectivity. I feel that I would lose, a great deal of things, not the least of which being able to speak to iOS with some amount of intelligence. Doesn't mean I have to have every iOS device. So next question here. And again, you can use Super Chat and your question bubbles at the top. I got a few stacked here. Note 8 or iPhone 10? No idea. And it's a loaded question because there's no way. Just like Windows versus Mac OS. Oh, speaking of Mac OS, update from yesterday. Apparently, NVIDIA's released drivers for High Sierra. So I feel more confident in basically updating my my MacBook today compared to yesterday. If you missed yesterday's live stream, it's still up. You can go back and watch it. Get all the Chris Pirillo you can. Yeah. So if any Tony says Flossie, I love him. Yeah. If you see Flossie, tell him he caught my attention. I like the cut of his jaw. Haven't seen his jaw. I've seen his cat. I like it. It's just good. It's raw. I love it. The more raw something is, the happier I am. He just doesn't mince words either. I love that. Raheel asks, did you see the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus line near your local app store? I did not. I haven't been in. I'll be going in today. I doubt there's going to be a line this deep in. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to walk away with another iPhone 8 Plus today. I don't know if they have any. Like, even when I set the appointment the other day, and I'll talk about this in the video, I don't, there was no inventory until today for what I would need to replace it with. So I don't even know if I'm going to be walking away with one. So we shall see. Salotson is wise. Why do you think they didn't include promotion with the new iPhones? Couldn't tell you. But we kind of talked about this yesterday. The reason why I'd imagine is parts, value to cost. Would it sell more phones than not? And I don't think it would. And the design of ProMotion is really wagged around the iPhone or the Apple Pencil. So are people wanting to does Apple want people to use the Pencil with the iPhone? Not necessarily. So why throw the technology in there? Why spend that much more money if there's a law of diminishing returns? So it comes down to not being unable to do it. It comes down to why should they do it? And so I'm not going to forgive Apple for doing that, but I'm not going to fault Apple for doing that either. It wouldn't make any sense for them. I mean, I'd imagine those types of screens, with a high refresh rate, are going to be more costly. Parts and supply chain would become an issue. And it would be an issue of also unlocking an experience that they're not necessarily wanting to push on the iPhones. And that would not necessarily be a higher refresh rate, but specifically in use with an Apple Pencil. They may change their mind. I believe that ProMotion may find its way down into these smaller screen devices. I don't have an Apple Pencil. I'm not an Apple Pencil user. All the more reason I'm ready to kind of toss my iPad to the side if I can find a way of getting the new, what is it called? Not the MacBook, the Pixelbook, depending on how that looks remotely. Let's see here. Don Scolzoni asks, hey Chris, what do you think about Chinese smartphones like Huawei, Xiaomi, and Honor? Well, first of all, years ago I said it would be interesting for Xiaomi to push into the US. They have done so, but very lately. They've just released the Xiaomi Mi 2, and it's very fragile. Don't drop it. Like the ceramic back just like chips very easily, shatters really. But what I liked about them is that they kind of had that whole ecosystem thing down in a way that Google did not, in a way that would parallel Apple. So I still feel that way. And then Huawei, to my knowledge, had made my Nexus 6P, which I really, like, and have used. It's right now my only Android experience. I still have an old Nexus 7, but I haven't booted it up forever. I don't keep devices on all the time. I don't need more than one, unless I'm doing a reference point or just getting the experience. So I just like many of what these things are from a distance because I don't have an opportunity to get them outright. And quite honestly, if there was one that really tripped my trigger and that was getting a great degree of buzz, I'd be more inclined to chase it down, like the Me Too. But again, getting these devices isn't as simple as you'd think. It's not as simple as I'd like to get one. Oh, if only that were true. Then y'all wouldn't listen to me because you'd all have them. Jordan Younce says, what do you think you have missed with making regular YouTube videos? I've been making regular YouTube videos. I never stopped making videos, as Liz points out. Never stopped making them. I believe in doing, and I've always felt this way, following your passions, following your interests, especially when it comes to sharing those passions and interests. And I honestly haven't felt very motivated to do that in the realm of technology. It felt like a lot of the advice that I was laying down was basically being ignored, or everything that I was putting out there was being ignored. And if you put effort into it and you don't get something from it, like you lose a lot of that energy. What's different is that I didn't snap, but like I've done these Apple types of videos for years, even for last year before that, etc. And every time I'd sit there and say, dude, this is like, the software's a problem. The software's a problem. The software's a problem. And people like, and then they'd write me off. But for whatever reason, this year's different. So you know what? I'm going to take that and build upon the velocity. I've been doing, original content for patrons, a lot of tech stuff, calling the industry like I see it, a lot of stuff that I just won't share in public. A lot of the stuff that I do want to talk about that I won't say in public, whether it's live or pre-recorded or what have you. So it's not that I stopped. I prefer to do, I've said this before in recent videos, I honestly would prefer to talk about Star Wars 24/7. That's not, necessarily practical. It's not what people turn to for me. I have no Star Wars expertise. I just have an interest in it. I have a different degree of experience specifically with technology. You obviously understand that. But I never stopped. Either for patrons, I never stopped, and certainly not in a public capacity. I never stopped. But that would explain why I'm willing to give this another go if y'all are. If you can be a part of what I would want to see happen on the other end. Because honestly, if I just feel like I'm just talking on my own, I'm not going to talk for very long. So thank you for asking the question. Let's see here. Next question. Oh, I missed a Oscar Ferranzi Fawcett's question. Follow-up question from yesterday. What is your favorite piece or pieces of your Star Wars collection? Oh, I think I answered that yesterday, though. Didn't I? My favorite piece is my first Star Wars figure. Jay Patapals the third says, "Hi, Chris. Any plans for Battlefront 2? I seem to recall you watching you play Battlefront 1. Seeing your reactions would be awesome." Yeah, I would effectively. I mentioned this in yesterday's stream. Use the Star Wars Radar channel at Star Wars Radar on Twitter. 48,000 followers. I spun up the YouTube channel. I reserved all the usernames I might need, but I may end up live streaming Battlefront 2 play on the Star Wars Radar YouTube channel because I don't want the problem. That's a problem with me, people don't know where to pay attention. So and I did my best to kind of segment what would be going where, and it worked well enough for a while, and then just ultimately just confused people. So as much as I would like to just produce into one channel, it doesn't work very well that way because you flood people out. And it also doesn't work that way from a formatting perspective. What's good for gaming is not necessarily good for a shorter form edited video, or a live video even. So I'm doing my best to segment that, honestly. Let's see here. Raheel H says the new GoPro 6 is here. Dude, do people still care about the GoPro? I had one, and then like, okay, I guess they're trying. I don't know how well they're doing though, but yeah, I'm not a GoPro user. Then again, I'm not an external camera user. This camera I've had for probably a decade. I've been using. The one that I'm recording on now. That's why I think that's one of the reasons why I'm limited to 720p for live content. I have to repeat that over and over again, but it's a limitation I think with the camera hardware. And I didn't think so because I thought it was a full 1080p HD camera. But there's a disconnect either with this or something else, because I use a piece of hardware, the older HD60 Elgato box, as a go-between, but I don't know if that's working as well as it could. So I want to try. I really want to try their new cable, but again I don't have the money for it, because it's like, well, it's not really broken. It's a law of diminishing returns. This is a question of whether or not it's actually going to improve the stream. So I'm not big into just buying hardware for hardware's sake. I'm not even big into reviewing hardware for hardware's sake, or even software to a large degree. I kind of think, like, am I really going to use this? Like, even if it's free, I'm like even an app anymore. And I talked to this a few weeks ago when I was playing on the arcade machine the other day. I was like, I don't even download apps all that often anymore. People ask, well, what's in your dock? I don't know. Default Finder? What's on your iPhone? I don't know. Safari? Like, I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. Not so much anymore. I've become a minimalist. Although someone said, you're not a minimalist. You have this computer, that computer, this thing, that this thing. I'm like, well, but that doesn't mean I have to run all the things. What I'm saying is I don't have the 90% of the rest of my life filled with technology that I'm not going to use. Juan Cap 3, did Chris talk about High Sierra? I did briefly yesterday. There's really not much to talk about. It's a perfunctory upgrade, and yeah, it's fine. I honestly don't see too many differences, and I've even had the full suite of upgrades with the going to AFPS or the APFS. Over the not NTFS but HFS Plus, as far as a file formatting system. I'll be moving my MacBook next. Yeah, I'm getting some questions stacked up, but not too many. And I was hoping to maybe go for right around an hour or so today. Again, I wish there was a better timer for this, and I mentioned that yesterday. We're about a half hour in. We'll see how long it goes before everything kind of peters out. FN Dollars says, in your opinion, would you consider iOS 11 the worst iOS release in terms of fluidity since 2007? I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, it's definitely junk. iOS is junk now. I mean, notifications, even if they worked well, are a nightmare to manage. I think in terms of worst, it was iOS 7. You can go back and watch my iOS 7 video. I was just so disgusted by it. I was like, it's got to improve, and it never did. That, to me, was the most jarring, because we went from iOS 6 with clean performance and a relatively clean skeuomorphic design ethos to whatever the hell iOS 7 was. And I've been clamoring for changes at the software level since then, and I don't know if they're ever going to come. So in terms of fluidity, no, I'd say it was iOS 7. That was the most jarring. That was the absolute worst. The absolute worst. And I swear, I was the only so-called techie that bothered to point it out. And you can go back and look. You can go and do your own research. How many of these other techies pointed that out? But that's none of my business as I sip my tea. This is tea. I'm drinking tea in here. As a reminder, I've got questions stacked. You can use the super chat, but not on mobile. YouTube sucks at mobile. Google sucks at mobile. Let me just tell you how Google sucks at mobile. Number one, you can't super chat from it. Number two, and I'm talking specifically within their apps. Two, I can't heart a comment from mobile. Hell, I can't even get the original comments from a live stream to show up immediately after a video is published or made public after it's live. There's just such a disconnect with the way YouTube does things, the way Google does things. Like, the apps that they create for YouTube management for someone who's producing, they're just boneheadedly designed. So don't sit there and think that Google's going to get a free pass simply because Apple's not got their eye on the ball, okay? See, it's a misnomer. Chris is going after Apple. It's just a matter of time before I go after your baby, okay? Just FYI. Google is not going to escape my wrath when it comes to just piss-poor software design. Trust me, if I had a chance to talk to a developer or an engineer at Google who could fix these problems, I would. Ugh. Tony Yoon asks, what do you think of the fate of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi? Tony, I'm trying not to think about it outright, and I don't want to find myself locked into a this is the way it has to be, because the moment I do, then unfortunately the Last Jedi won't be able to, I think, rise above expectations. So I have no expectations. I'm fascinated by how they've kind of staged the character as kind of this this loner now, effectively almost in exile, much like Kenobi was, but at least Kenobi had a mission, right? Kenobi was watching after Luke from a distance. Luke isn't necessarily doing that. He's pretty much in exile. He's exiled himself for whatever reason, and he's done a lot of reflection, a lot of learning. He may come forward as a gray Jedi, rather than a light or a dark, somewhere in the middle. And I think that's a fascinating turn. I really do. Some people would, I think not be as happy with that, but I would find that to create the character that Luke character, it would provide an even greater contrast of Luke as he was, from what we knew him in the original trilogy to what he turned out to be, much like Han Solo, right? He was the rogue, really a true rebel at heart, in the original trilogy, and then when we see him in The Force Awakens, it's like he's changed, like dramatically. Life really, knocked him down. and the same thing happened with Luke, but in a different way. Luke was, gung ho and all about good and great and doing things, for the betterment of the galaxy. But to potentially see him, effectively flip, I think is again adds more depth to his character. So I don't know if I'd say I'd like to see Luke turn to the dark side. I think it'd be a little too far, not to say that it's been rumored, but I think hearing him say it's time for the Jedi to end, I think that's good. That again, it provides more depth of character, makes that character more compelling, tells that story. But I can see how some people wouldn't like that. The people who wouldn't like that are the people who have projected that Luke would always be for good and on the light side of the Force. But what if that turns out not to be the case? I'm fine with that. I think that's cool. When someone, I mean, if the natural progression of that character makes sense, I'm for it. I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm very, very happy. T. Thomas Beast asks, wait, is this the Firewire 800 camera you are currently using? Yeah, I think I converted it from Firewire 400 to 800 into the Mac. Into Lightning. I don't know. I got like one cable and 3 adapters to get the damn thing to work. Oscar Forzani Fawcett, I'm just reading in order. What would you like to have happen? Oh, no, I lost it. What would you like to have? Where is it? What would you like to have happen in episode 8, and how would you like the trilogy to end? I don't know. I just kind of addressed that, but I don't want to know. I want the trilogy to end in that's fitting for that arc of the story. That's all. That's it. That's all I have for an expectation. People keep asking Note 8 or iPhone 10. I addressed that earlier, but I can't answer that question. I am not a fish. 1181 asks, can we get an Will E you later, please? That was a request by way of super chat yesterday. It was very special. So you can watch yesterday's broadcast to get the end of that one. Somehow I missed that channel. I must not have paid close attention. I'll go forth and subscribe. No worries, dude. I mean, not everybody's a Star Wars fan. VT Productions PC, is that Mario? Says, has anyone realized that there's issues with everything Apple is releasing? Exemplum gratium, that's what EG is short for. It's Latin. iOS, it's becoming more common than updates. I feel that people are starting to see that. Now, whether or not they get caught up in jingoistic practices, and the go team go, this type of, tribe mentality, I think that's where we get tripped up with the conversation. I certainly understand that. I certainly recognize it. The cracks have been showing for quite a while. I think Apple is years ago, some people have argued that Apple's overpriced. I don't know if I'd necessarily take that position. For a few reasons. One, they've always had a unique value. And two, the right price is the price people are willing to pay. So you can't say they're overpriced if people are still willing to pay. You just can't. It's not a cogent position to take. you may feel it's overpriced for the value, but it doesn't mean that it is absolutely empirically overpriced. That said, I think that the alternatives that are now being offered up from other entities are good enough to dissuade people from paying a premium to Apple. Not to say that the ecosystems are paralleled, because I don't think they are. But the feeling that what made Apple special is no longer special is, it started to hit me as I was I think I was reading. Amazon did another a set of announcements. There's another set of hardware that I'm just like, like, okay. They I think what they have to offer is good enough for most people. Why would they chase down a premium product when they could get a premium type of a premium-esque experience for less? And I think that's where I think a lot of consumers kind of sit. They don't necessarily just want to live with Apple outright. And when that experience becomes outpaced by a third party, the Amazon TV dongle does 4K TV. I don't know about the software experience, can't speak to that, though Amazon software experience has always been hellish. Like, iOS is bad, but Amazon is worse. Like, they don't care. They actually, they're probably on par in terms of caring about user experience. But I've yet to be impressed with the fluidity of an Amazon product running on Android. It's nasty. Oh, it's so bad. Like, not even for free. Like, I'm good. At least Apple has other merits. Amazon, not so much. The outright, and I'm not slagging Amazon directly. I'm just saying that their software experience is for a different type of user. In terms of what I might choose for myself, they'd have to really amp up their game, and I've yet to see them really take their software seriously and their services seriously for a consumer grade product. That said, I've mentioned this for years. The first tablet that we're likely going to get for Jedi as a computer tablet is probably going to be the Amazon Kid Fire, or what, Fire Kids. What is it called? The Kid Kindle. I don't know. Free. It's got free time on it. That because they've got the best approach to the marketplace. So yeah, it's not me slagging Amazon outright. I'm just saying that in terms of what I might use on a daily basis apart from testing, I think Jedi would be fine with it. She's not as discerning as I might be, but it's that remains to be seen. But we haven't gotten a Jedi picked up one of those kid tablets for Jedi. It may happen within the next year. She's probably getting to that age. I don't want to expose Jedi to too much technology. I believe it is. I follow Steve Jobs in his path. I think it's damaging. Too much technology, exposing kids to too much technology, I think is incredibly damaging. Especially before they understand how to respect technology and what it has the capability of doing, rather than just using it. I would want Jedi to respect technology before I just, unleashed it upon her. Too many kids these days, too many youngins, people, well under the age of 13 just don't respect technology because they take it as a given. And when you don't respect something, I don't think you can effectively use it. That's my belief. You don't have to understand it to respect it, but damn well better respect that thing. That was my response to the one question about iOS and Apple. Well, that's where that went. Let's see here. Tony asks, do you recommend older iPhone users to upgrade to iOS 11, SE 6 or 6S users? You can, sure, I guess, but that's completely up to you. It's a gamble. I don't know. I want it to get better. I don't see it getting better. There's the developer beta's out. I don't know if the public beta's out. I am thinking about, as much as I was like, oh no, I'll wait on doing the public beta on my iPhone 8 Plus. I may do it. The later betas of iOS were more stable, buggy but stable. And the way I look at it is like, it can't be any worse. This is the way honestly, this is how I feel about Apple's betas right now. Can't be any worse than the final product. That's how I feel. I feel their final products are beta. So yeah, I may be doing that when I get the new iPhone 8 Plus upgrade today, theoretically. There's a few new features that they've unlocked, but nothing that I think is dramatically different from what ships with iOS 11. Just be forewarned, iOS 11 is buggy. I don't think it's going to be unbuggy until iOS 11.3. That's my prediction. 11.3, if you want to wait, is the time to do it. Anything before then, I don't think is going to be a good experience for anybody. That's how long it took for them to polish iOS 10 to get to the 0.3 update. And then you get to start all over again with iOS 12. Sign me up. Can't wait. Just broke everybody's speakers. Jonky2, thank you for the super chat yesterday, Jonky, by the way. I know I'm probably beating a dead horse by asking this. Oh, everyone thinks I'm beating dead horses all the time. But what's your opinion on the home screen of iOS? Not being able to place icons freely, etc. Does it bother you? Years ago it didn't. But, I see the Pixel Launcher screen, and I hope to God I can use that Pixel Launcher on the new Pixel. Because I like the current Pixel Launcher screen. It's clean. It's just uncluttered. And I like that. I like the fact that the weather is just, bam, right there. Clean, simple, easy, straightforward. I love that widget. I need that widget. Like, I need it. Because I see the weather, a lot. And just to have that view up front, I think is very valid. And so I'm going to be very interested in chasing down products that are treasured or valued by the community for Android, because I think that it's time. I feel that iOS layout and design issues aside, it's getting long in the tooth. I like the fact that I'm able to keep things somewhat organized, but I think the first time I ever looked longingly at another home screen was specifically the Pixel Launcher from last year. We'll see how this one's shaping up. I don't know. It remains to be seen how this one plays out. But I really like the having that weather and the date just perma-present, and it's just clean. It's cleaner. I love that. I love it. I adore it. And that's certainly part of the impetus for kind of just shifting off of iOS from a phone capacity, is just recognizing that there's a lot more value that can be presented in software with this slab of aluminum or glass, or I guess, as I misspoke yesterday in the Chris Pirillo channel video, I said it was aluminum and glass, and I guess the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 10 Plus is stainless steel and glass. I don't care. That just shows you how much I care. I don't. It's really funny. So yeah, I really wish Apple would kick it up a notch. And I think the way to do that is, and maybe iOS 12 will bring it. I wish iOS 11 did. I wish they would, much like Android does, allow for third-party launchers. They let you do third-party keyboards. Why not make third-party launchers? Why? What's keeping them from doing that? Having that clean iOS experience? Okay, I guess they're going for the branding, and I think that's what would keep them held back. There's no need to differentiate. They need it to be ostensibly what an iPhone screen looks like. So the chances of them changing it are between slim and none. Just FYI. So I don't hold your breath as far as Apple goes. Oh, VTC Production just super chatted. I know it's not much, dude. It's enough. Even though I'm Patreon, I'm liking these videos, dude. I appreciate the encouragement there. I really genuinely do. Thank you for that. And I know, dude, see, this is the thing. It's Mario, right? It's Mario. That's your name. I know your username, but I also know your handle and your avatar. For years, I get to know people. People are surprised when I get to know people, but I do. Genuinely do. I see that Earl's in the chat as well. Another great supporter. Let's see. What can we do here? Tony Yoon. I'm just going by order. That's the fair way of doing it, apart from super chats. Is there any vegan science that counter-argues research that says there are certain omegas that you can get from only animal-based sources? I know algae is an option, but supposedly insufficient. You're talking about your like the omega-6s. You can also get omega-6s from 9 or flaxseed oil. So, you're fine in that way. I'd be careful about oil outright. Dr. Esselstyn suggests no oil. but you don't want to get too much because it can actually thin your blood. That's an issue. That Doctor, his name escapes me. He's the one that he does the starch-based diet. Doctor, help me, fellow vegans. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say vegan science, but if you were looking for research, I would actually turn to Dr. Greger. He's got a series of videos, nutritionalfacts.org. I think it's that. If you Google for it or YouTube for it, he's got a ton of videos, always looking at new research. So yeah, I right now I'm taking a probiotic that has the flaxseed oil in it. I would rather have the full flaxseed outright as a whole food plant-based person. But this it's kind of like it kills many birds with one stone. I get my vitamin B12, which is normally found in bacteria in the soil. I'm not going to eat soil. That's how animals get their vitamin B12 for whatever it's worth. I just bypass the middle cow, if you will, the middle hog, the middle chicken, and go directly to the source, or indirectly to the source. But yeah, I couldn't speak to that outright. Algae is one option. But it's up to you whether or not you feel that it's your choice. You should of course talk to your primary healthcare physician, who, by the way, is probably not going to know a lot about nutritional science. Can't wait though. I'm going in. My hope plan is still can't believe I'm saying this. In December, I would like to go in and actually get my blood work drawn for the full battery of tests to see how my cholesterol level was impacted. That was the drive to switching to a whole food plant-based diet. Losing weight has just been a benefit, largely dropping about 25 pounds, though I'm starting to kind of even out, and my eating patterns have been somewhat disrupted. I did have beer for the first time in a couple months the other day, and then I've drank that, and I'm fine for now. I'm not going to go out and start drinking beer again. It doesn't make you gain weight because your body actually burns off that alcohol before it burns off your fat. I've just been in fat loss mode, so hence shelving the beer outright. But it's fun every so often. I'm not swearing off beer. I can't. It's too good. The stouts are too good. Oscar asks, of all the anthology films, I guess they're calling Star Wars stories now, not anthologies. Star Wars are making, or reported to be making, what would you like to see apart from Darth Vader? Well, what you got to understand is that really the prequels were Darth Vader's story, by and large. That was the rise of Darth Vader. So I'd be shocked if there was a Darth Vader story. I'd like to see more background characters surface. I mean, a Boba Fett film would be fantastic. We may see him in Han Solo, that story film. Don't know. I don't know. I would like to see. I'd like to see them kind of break the mold. I loved Sin City. Loved that movie. God, it was so well done. Stylistically, story driven. I mean, it was just perfect. I would love to see a Tales from Jabba's Palace type of film. This or almost like a Pulp Fiction style Star Wars film. But you can't crossing genres like that be a challenge. But I would just like to see him break the mold, experiment, play around with it. Let's see a character. In the rumor would have been he might have been that Kenobi's getting a standalone film. I'm like, okay, I love it. It's great. Or even the Han Solo film. I'm like, give me something new. Let me sink my teeth into something new. That's why I really like what they've done with Rebels, because new characters to love, new stories to love, new locations to just appreciate. I appreciate that in the Star Wars storytelling galaxy. I just like to see more of lesser known characters, locations, stories, etc. And I think we will eventually. I really do. I don't want to see. I don't want to see character driven movies as much. Rogue One, I thought it was good. It was nice to see. I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as The Force Awakens. I felt that Rogue One would have succeeded, in my mind, in my heart, in my perspective. It would have better succeeded as an episodic live action series than it would have as a movie. I think as a movie it did not do well. From my expectations of what it could have been, because we just didn't have a chance to latch on to all these characters before we knew it. They were gone, and their backstories could have been surfaced. I mean, imagine if that would have played out as a 12 episode miniseries, television type of miniseries. I think it would have been a fantastically better movie. or a better series of films, like hour-long episodes where we can dive into each character and motivations. I would have been much happier with it. Oh, so much happier. Stephen Buckley says, have you noticed how Apple are giving you less and less with your products? First, the extension of the 2016 MacBook Pro, and now the headphone case with the iPhone 7 and 8. I guess I haven't noticed they're giving less, but I can understand why you would say that. I think they're trying to move the ball forward in a certain way. I'm not going to slag them for it. I can tell you this. I am not compelled to upgrade any of my hardware outright. Even thinking about getting rid of my iPad Pro. For the first time in ages, I'm looking at potentially just getting rid of the iPad Pro. Going to a Chromebook type of experience in the Pixelbook. Because of how I'm using it, where it fits in. I'm interested in seeing how it fits in. And trying to figure out that out. If I can, figure out a way of getting a Pixelbook, which they're set to announce. If I'm intrigued by it. If I believe it's a viable replacement. For all intents and purposes, I believe it can be. I just don't know how it's going to be yet. Like I said, that super portable device. But the iPad Pro has not impressed me to the point where I'm like, I just think it's amazing. It just has not mitigated enough the iOS jank. And that's what I was hoping for. And honestly, I haven't used the iPad Pro as much as I could be using it, as much as other people might be using it. And, it just speaks to another reason why I don't carry a lot of the devices with me. So I don't know if they're giving less and less. I think they're refining their approach. It's the question of, are they refining it to save money, to drive the ball forward for innovative purposes? They got what do they call it? The damn touch bar on the MacBook. I'm like, okay. I can think of how many times I would use that. It just, at a distance, seems like an incredible gimmick. Yeah. But I don't use my Mac. I'm not a hardcore computer user. Honestly, it's the phone. The phone is a primary driver for me. It's my primary computer. It's my PC. My PC is a smartphone, whichever one I have on me. So, they may be giving less and less in terms of hardware features, but do you need a headphone jack? This is a video I wanted to dive into live the other day, and y'all voted to talk about something else on Twitter. Maybe I'll give you guys another chance tomorrow in a live video. Even though this is an AMA channel primarily, if I do a live video tomorrow, I would likely do a 1-week review of living with the iPhone 8 Plus. And I think people would be interested in that. And that would be in the Chris Pirillo channel outright. Again, I'm trying to better establish what will work in one channel and what would work in another. I think doing TLDR here as primarily a live AMA would be fantastic. I would really love to set it up so that I can be playing video games at the same time while answering questions, but it just doesn't work that way specifically in this environment or with YouTube's really crappy app. I blame Google for that, not Apple. Rock 211, again, reading these in order. Have you noticed that software is getting slower at a quicker rate than hardware is getting faster? With Apple, yes. And that's one of my biggest issues with Apple outright. I feel that, it's getting outpaced. Faster hardware is irrelevant. And even though we've kind of seemingly topped out in terms of hardware performance, Microsoft's improved software performance with Windows 10. I'm not a Windows 10 power user. But Apple certainly has not improved macOS performance, has not improved iOS performance. Google, for all intents and purposes, I believe has improved Android performance. The fact that I can run Android Oreo on my Nexus XP and it seems like a very fluid experience speaks volumes. According to Eddie Ringle, who is a go-to Android guy for me, I think he's Eddie Ringle on Twitter, and a developer. He says that Google uses Nexus 5s as their staging servers. So, when you're optimizing for older hardware, you can work wonders. And because then it'll make it work even better on newer hardware. And I think Google's got its eye on the ball there. So, I have noticed generally software is not just getting slower, it's just not performing very well. And it comes down to what the developer cares about. And quite honestly, you have to wonder, are they going to care about something that, once again, is not going to convert people anymore? You can brag that your software is 50% faster, but if people don't care, it may be a talking point, but you would get the response, who cares? I care. You might care, but if it's not a priority, no one else is going to care. I've had this fight with developers for years, decades. At least 2 decades I've been complaining about software performance when I know it could be better or when it's gotten worse. FN Dollars asks, if you are in the market for a smartphone for your daughter today, what smartphone would you purchase? I mentioned the tablet that is likely going to be her first one. I mean, I am excited about that. I don't know if it has the Star Wars app, though. I hope it does. It has to have a Star Wars app on it. I've talked to other parents. They say they're happier with Android as a device. So I kind of have to lean on their experience. I think I would get a previous gen type of device for Jedi, though you never know. I may work out a way that she gets to play with flagships. She was playing. It was funny. I posted an animated GIF the other day. If you missed it, on the Chris Pirillo Twitter account. I know a lot more of y'all are following there. I do a lot, but not just in one platform. You got to keep that in mind. Let's see if I can remember the heck I put it. Oh, I know where I have it. Searching for it here. I did an animated GIF of Jedi playing with the smartphone, or with her smartphone. She went and got this little Happy Meal toy. We don't necessarily give her Happy Meals, but toys are fine. She wanted this. She said, I want the phone, the Lego phone. It's a Lego Ninjago phone, so it's great. It's Lego, so Daddy approves. If it's got Lego on it, Daddy approves. And she may get into reviewing phones with me, with Daddy. She gets hers, I get mine. We'll review phones together. Why not? When she's old enough to know. I don't know when that age is going to be. Is it going to be 4? Don't know. Is it going to be 5? I don't know. We'll see. She'll see Daddy and how he talks about experiences, and then she'll have her own. I think it would be fantastic to have her talk about this stuff with me. Software experience and general fluidity and what she perceives and what she picks up and what she doesn't and what works and what doesn't and what makes her happy and what makes her sad. I think it's a great way of exploring critical thinking skills. Learning, mastering technology, respecting technology, understanding technology and its role in life, and giving her something to build her skills around and become more fascinated. Because the best thing I would want for her is for her to be able to take those skills and parlay them into something greater than herself. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question yet. Maybe, like I said, I'm joking now, but she's no stranger to the camera. She plays in front of the camera as well as her daddy does. We got about 3 more minutes, and I understand we also have a lot of questions I will not be able to get to today before I start winding down. I will likely get back to them tomorrow. I will do potentially 2 live streams tomorrow, one in this LockerGnome channel and one in the Chris Pirillo channel. Oh, VT Productions PC says, don't think that the problem is the iPhone. This is a super chat, so I got to jump to it. Don't think the problem is that the iPhone doesn't have the headphone jack. It's the fact that you can't charge the iPhone and play music and maybe add a better dongle with the jack and charging port. Yes, it's me, Mario. It's me, Mario. Okay, sorry. You said it. You said it, dude. You can't get mad at me. You said it. Yes, Mario. I get that, and I kind of mentioned this briefly in one of the iPhone videos I did last week in the Chris Pirillo channel. It's that you can now do inductive charging, so you can charge now while listening to a headphone jack, or you can get a dongle. So why not? If the headphone itself is a dongle, what is so concerning about adding a very minuscule, insignificant dongle to the dongle? I don't understand that position in the argument. I understand you don't want to carry around one more thing. Neither do I, which is why I don't mind having wireless headphones. I don't want to carry around the wire. I don't want to carry around the cable. I don't use headphones, though. I'm not a power headphone user. I am not an audiophile at all. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand that position. I'm not diminishing. I'm not devaluing it. But now that you've got inductive charging, you can charge the phone and play music. So you want to charge it by some other way, then get a dongle. But if you don't want the dongle, then why are you... It's circular logic, right? That cable, by definition, you plug it in. So you don't want to take it off. You don't want to lose it. So you're worried about losing that piece. I can understand that. It may be a small component. This is something that I've had to deal with over the past year, maybe once or twice. I carry around a case. I have a case on my phone. It doesn't have a headphone jack. So when I'm on a plane, I'm not listening, and I've only like flown maybe once or twice over the past year. I don't use a Bluetooth connection outright. I use the headphone jack, and I just use a converter. I just keep the converter in the kit that I carry around in my pouch, and I just keep it connected when I'm not using it. It's insignificant. It's a minor, to me. It's a minor inconvenience, and I can't see it as anything but. I haven't seen it as anything but as someone who's been smacked by the problem of not having a headphone jack. So I get it, but I don't. I'm still looking for that definitive. Here's the solution. Throwing a headphone jack is a solution, but you're also grounded to the past. It's like you're making the argument a floppy disk needs to come with the PC because I have all these floppy disks. Inevitably, you've got to make way for better technology, and I guess we'll see how LG V30 handles it with their onboard DAC, and how they manage that. And I don't know. I don't have an answer to this question, but I think we have to kind of start looking past these past technologies, honestly. And that's really, that's the one thing I'm going to say about that. And really, I seem to be repeating myself. I know that, like I said, I know there's a lot of questions, but I do want to try to keep this to an hour every day for y'all. One last thing, Country Girl, she's a fellow Star Wars fan, asks if I recommend upgrading from 7 Plus to an 8 Plus. If so, is the iPhone 8 Plus a better smartphone? I addressed that, I think, in a recent video, but it may come out in the week-long review that I'm going to be doing for everybody today, again, in the Chris Pirillo channel. I'm going to go ahead and wind down. Thank you for the super chats, Mario. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If I did not get to your question, it's not that I didn't want to. It's just I have to go in order, try to keep it within an hour, because I respect your time. Thank you for respecting mine. I do love you. I appreciate you, and may the Force be with you.